Yo, what's going on, man? Miles here with another video, and I want to talk to y'all about being a better articulated, a much more effective communicator. Now, we're just gonna get straight into it, man. Let me ask you this question. So, how many times have you had trouble effectively communicating? Probably more than you think, right? And you're not alone. I've had trouble in my past too. Now, how many times have you had situations where you didn't have the best response only until hours or later after the conversation was already over? A lot, right? Yeah. And that feeling sucks. And I'm sure that you probably feel like, yo, why can't I just say what I need to say in that moment? Well, one of the reasons is because you can't think clearly. At least in today's era, no one can think as clearly as they want to. We need a goldfish era. So, people are just constantly hitting with dopamine. And I noticed with myself that I was having a lot of brain fog. And so I had to ask myself, what can I do to better communicate, to become a much more impactful communicator? And in my journal, I wrote 4 aspects of communication I want to work on: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to communication in these 4 aspects. There's nonverbal communication, which I won't go into. I only want to focus on these main ones. And the first one I have listed here is self-talk. So, to be a better communicator, you have to be a better communicator with yourself. There's a reason why the law of mentalism states that all is mind, because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So, the words that you produce to yourself is going to be what's projected out into the world. Why would anyone have deep conversations with you if you've never had deep conversations with yourself? Everything starts with self. If you become a better self-communicator with how you speak to yourself, what words do you use? Is it hateful words? Is it self-limiting beliefs? Is it self-deprecating? If that's what it is, then the way that you communicate to people will be just like that. You will doubt your ability to communicate with people because you doubted your ability to communicate with yourself in private. So once you fix that, once that mindset changes, you will be a much more better communicator with people off of that alone. And I do think that speaking to yourself, speaking highly of yourself to yourself, when no one's around in public, you have those thoughts to yourself, and at nighttime at 3 a.m. when you really have those thoughts with yourself, that's when it counts the most. So self-talk is key. So next thing that you can do that I've done mock presentations. So kind of like something like this, right? But choose a topic that you love or that you know about, right? It could be Christianity, or it could be a sport that you love, or your favorite movie, whatever. Give your opinion on the topic and give a mock presentation of that topic. Give yourself a time limit. It could be however long you want it to be. It doesn't need to be longer than like 5 minutes. And just talk about the topic that you love. Record yourself. Pretend like you're in a classroom, and some of you may get a little jitters off of just thinking about it, but just pretend like you're in a classroom and you have to present to people in front of you on the topic that you love. When you record yourself, pick up on your gestures. How do you sound? What sort of cadence, what's your cadence like? What's your tonality like? Do you use the same fillers with your words? These are things you need to think about. The more that you do it, the more aware you'll be. The more self-aware you'll be of how you communicate. Next, kind of goes to the mock presentation, but talk about topics you love. If there's a topic that you love that you can go on and on about, right, then you probably would not mess up a single time talking about it. You won't have any you won't stutter, you won't think about how to present the idea from a certain perspective because you've thought about it long enough to give your own perspective. So talking about topics you love will make you want to talk, okay? Because you're going to want to talk about things you want to talk about. So the more that you talk about these topics to people, the more that you're going to become a much more effective communicator in general. because you're not just getting so much input in, but now you're giving output. You're giving output. Input coming from, when I say input, I'm talking about input from the influences of the world today, social media, entertainment, music, whatever, versus you producing output. So you producing your own ideas on a certain topic, you producing your own ideas from a certain perspective. That is what's going to help you become a much more effective communicator, because you're going to have a lot more knowledge about what it is that you talk about, and you're giving it enough time for you to deeply think about your opinion on a certain topic. So next, storytelling. Hey man, nobody want no boring story, bro. Like, if it's a boring story, people gonna fall asleep. That's why lectures sometimes are boring to a lot of people, me included. It's because if we need engagement, humans, we need engagement. So if you could captivate a person with a beginning, middle, and end, and are able to bring emotion into the story, bring emotion with your words, the way that you speak. Is it just monotone and dead and monotonous, or is it full of life? Right? Does it reach the back of the room? Storytelling is very important. Working on storytelling, man. Like, have 3 stories that you could think of in your life, and practice telling them in your head. Practice telling them, how would you say the story? How would you make the story more interesting to tell? What key points would you need to talk about? What key points did you leave out? Because people want to hear stories. People will remember a certain topic or a message if you could add a story into it, because it's something that they can grab onto. So storytelling is very important. Next thing, I harp on this so much, but video journals. You need to be able to talk to a camera. You need to be able to hear how you sound and reflect on what you say. I'm not gonna go too much into that. The second thing, the last, but probably one of the most important. You need to actually go out there and talk to people, bro. Like, this all is cool. The first one you could go. The first and last one most important. Self-talk and talking to strangers, because this could all be. It's cool for me to give you everything that you can do, but if you actually don't go out and do it, then it's worth nothing. You have to apply it to yourself. Talk to strangers. Get outside your comfort zone. I got outside my comfort zone when I did sales. I was a salesman for a little over a year. I was one of the niggas in the mall that had to go up to a person and try to sell them a grooming product. I hated it. I hated it, and I was being paid so much low money. I wasn't getting paid anything for it. But guess what? I realized I was becoming a lot. Yeah, so my phone just messed up, but I'm back at it. So yeah, I was one of those people in the mall, and I hated it because I was not getting any money. But I decided to continue doing it because I was learning a valuable foundational skill that will help me more in the long run. So it was much more worth it. Talk to strangers. Get outside your comfort zone, and you will see that you will grow as a much better communicator. So next, reading. Now, when is the last time you read a book? You don't gotta lie, man. You ain't read a book this year or last year, have you? Read you a book, man. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because books are a whole wealth of knowledge. You can learn from someone's whole perspective on a topic. They may have different worldviews, different viewpoints that you can learn from. And not only that, but books help build your vocabulary. You don't want to just be saying good all the time when someone asks how you're doing. You don't only say good, happy, bad, sad. You want to have a lot more in your lexicon. And a lexicon is just the wealth. You have a deep lexicon and you have a surface lexicon. Surface lexicon is the amount of words that you use in day-to-day conversations. A deep lexicon are the words that you may rarely use, right? So, for example, you could say, oh, the boy was loud. That would be a surface lexicon. Loud would be surface. Or you may have a deep lexicon, which may be, the boy was ostentatious, right? Ostentatious is a word that you don't use often. Those we carry in our deep lexicon. And the more books that you read, the more your deep lexicon will grow, which is why you need to do it. So another thing is to read poems, man. So, and poems, I've always done poetry. When I was younger, I won a school-wide poetry contest. I've always been writing poems since I was like 12. Always been into creative writing, and it improves your language skills so much. Poetry allows you to learn a lot more about yourself and viewpoints on certain topics in the world. It is a true inspiration for language skills. And it's something that you need to do, because poetry allows your words to be the paintbrush to someone else's canvas. You are painting the picture of what you want that person to see. And the more that you're able to practice using certain creative language in writing, it will transfer in speaking. So you definitely want to try it out. Talk about topics you love, man. Doesn't have to be anything super crazy or Shakespearean. Nah, just something chill. Something real chill, and you'll end up liking it. I mean, if you like music, you kind of like poetry, just with sound in the back. So I say give it a try. Other thing is too, when you're reading YouTube titles or IG captions or things of that nature, think about what grabs your attention, because everything that you see is copywriting. Like the IG captions, the YouTube titles, the ads on TV, certain things grab your attention. So I want you to start thinking about, what is that grabbed my attention with these words? The more that you look at social media from that lens, the more that you'll be able to, the more you'll pick up on good communication versus bad communication, and good writing versus bad writing. So definitely read those certain forms of content, but also I would say that goes into writing as well too, because I think you should practice doing it on your own. And you make your own IG posts, practice what may grab some people's attention. So next we have listening. So I would say listening is probably more important than speaking. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, and we need to use them proportionately. So one thing you can do is listen to orators, right? What I do is, okay, so my phone, I had to change my whole phone. It's messed up. So what I was saying was that what I do is, what I used to do, I used to research different orators. Whether it was through public speaking, whether it was through speeches, monologues, just regular videos, I would look to see certain people and how they talked, and what tendencies they may have during their speech, what hand gestures they may use, how they will approach different answers. I would dissect all of those things and then apply some of those principles to my own speech and my own communication and see if it worked for me. And if it did, then I would apply it. I would continue doing it. If it didn't, then I would change it and do something else. That's something that you can do too. Learn from people who do what you want to do. And oftentimes you'll see it's much easier to speak when you have a guidance. You have a sort of like a guidebook on what you can and can't do, or what you should and shouldn't do, for effective communication. So next, record yourself talking. So it could be on a voice memo. It could just be on a topic that you love. It could be about a journal, just like this. You see how they all are connected. Record yourself speak, even for 30 seconds, 5 minutes, 1 minute, 10 minutes, however long you feel comfortable. Talk about a topic that you love. That's the key point. Talk about something that you love or that you want to talk about, and then just go for it. If you mess up, don't stop. Until the timer is done. And then dissect it. And then see what happens after that. Continue doing it. Keep hammering that principle into your head but no matter what you say, even if you mess up, you continue doing it, because you'll learn to get over those humps in your speeches, in your speech. So, last one is to listen more and talk less. there's so many people who feel like they just have to say something. They just have to give their 2 cents. And I know I can't be the only one who may look at some people and be like, man, what are you talking about? Like, I know there are people who just love to hear themselves talk. And listen to what people have to say. Don't listen a lot more than you speak to people. And they'll teach you a lot more about them. You can't learn anything from speaking, because for you to speak it, you would have had to already known it. So when you listen to someone, they may give you a perspective on the topic that you may not have thought of before, or they may reveal to themselves some aspect of the character that they may not have before. You would not have learned that if you were just blabbering on back and forth trying to get your point across. So listen to people and be fully engaged when you're talking to them. I'm gonna go more about that too, but be fully engaged when you're talking to someone. Give them presence and warmth when you're talking to someone, and they will continue talking no matter what, because people love to have their ideas validated. So when you listen to them, it feels like you're validating their ideas, because since everyone wants to talk, no one's listening. So when you are listening, people want to talk to you a lot more. So listen more and talk less. Now, writing. Writing is so important, and I don't think we really understand it. The IG post that you saw today, that you liked, it could have been from the video, or it could have been from the caption. That Twitter thread that you liked, it's from writing. That favorite book that you have, it's from writing. That favorite movie that you have, is from a script, it's from writing. Every single thing is from writing. So why not be a better writer yourself? Capitalize on it. You have to become a creator of your reality. You have to be a creator of your speech. You have to, a person who can write well, can speak well, can listen well, can read well. All of these coexist, and they're all interdependent of one another. All 4 aspects of this communication. And so writing, I would say, is one of the most foundational pieces. And now you can write in journals, like I always say. Now, journaling is especially helpful because you're writing your own thoughts, and you have time to really think about what's going on in your head, and you can express it in written format. That's powerful. Another thing that you can do, write essays on topics that you love. Now, people may be like, I'm not writing no essay, man. I got class already. I got this and that. I know. But it may be extreme to some people. But what I've done is I've written maybe like 500 words on a certain topic that I may have. I'll just write about it. Write whatever it is I want to talk about on that topic. And this can be any topic. This can be about working out or calisthenics or beauty products, whatever it is that you want to talk about. Write about it. You clarify your own perspectives on that topic when you give enough time to actually write about it. And the last one's poetry. I've spoken on this earlier, so I won't speak on it again. But yes, poetry is very important. Creative writing is very important. So incorporate these things. So next, I'm gonna give y'all a little bonus too. For the first bonus, there's one website you need to go to. I started doing it myself. It's called Ultra Speaking Games. Now, not too many people know about this. I didn't know about this till recently. But Ultra Speaking Games is a website where you can have games that allow you to work on certain aspects of your communication. Now, this may be impromptu speech, it may be analogies, it may be working on tonality and the emotions of your voice, your voice being able to have certain energies within it. You can practice those things. Now, there are some things that you have to pay for if you want to get the full experience. I'm not paying $17 a month for that, and you don't have to either. So you can still do you can still get the benefits that you need with that exercise, with those exercises. I find it helpful for myself, and I think that you can find it helpful for yourself too. So when you have the chance, I would definitely say check it out. So next time you're in a conversation, I want you to ask yourself one question. Where do you want the conversation to go? Ask yourself that question. Where do I want this conversation to go? Because if you don't know the answer to that, You're going to have dull moments, and the conversation is going to lead nowhere. You need to have a map for where you want to go. It's like, sure, you may be behind the wheel, but if you don't know where you're going, you're just driving and you're wasting time. You're wasting everyone's time. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your own time by not having a clear direction of where you want the conversation to lead. When you have that in your head, you'll be able to know how to position yourself to lead to where you want to go. So ask yourself that question next time. Next, be mindful of what you consume on a daily. I think that's also very important too. If all you're doing is consuming, certain types of content that isn't helpful to you or does not inspire any creative thinking or any deep thoughts, then I would say to just be mindful of the things that you are consuming. Certain entertainment, certain conversations that you may be having with people, music, all those in third. Anything in that category, just be mindful of it. And now, that's not to say that you can't watch anything that doesn't inspire intellectual thought. Sure you can, like I do too, of course. But I'm aware that I'm doing it. You may not be aware that you're doing it, and most people aren't aware that they're doing it. And so they're just sucked into the entertainment, not knowing that they're literally like rotting their brain doing that. So a person like me who is very aware of the things that he consumes, I can watch those things and be fine because I know that I'm doing it. And I'm able to take a step back from a third person view and look at what I'm consuming and not let it consume me. So that's the key. And probably the final and most important point of all of this is that it all starts and ends with you. You are the creator of your reality. You are the creator of your thoughts. You are the creator of what you want to happen in this life. Everything starts from within. So if you want to have good conversations with people, you gotta have good conversations with yourself. Ties back to the self-talk. The same types of conversations, the same type of game that you can have, that a man can have to talk to a woman or seduce a woman, is the same game that could be used to close a business deal, which is the same game that could be used to ace a presentation in the classroom, which is the same game that could be used to gain a business partner, which is the same game that could be used to get out of trouble with authorities, which is the same game that could be used for everything else in life. Because every single thing starts and ends with you. Every single thing. And once you can get that once you can rationalize that and internalize that, you'll start to see that, okay, when I'm in these different situations, I have to position myself from a position of power to where I'm able to get the result that I want. And next, I would say probably the core reason why people struggle with communication, articulating themselves, is that they are afraid to be themselves. They are afraid of rejection. They are afraid of articulating themselves and being true to what they think, saying what they think. People are afraid to say what they think. So because of that, they may censor themselves, censor some thoughts that come into their head, filter it, and it may come out weird, and they may start saying it, and they may feel awkward saying it because it's inauthentic to who they are. I don't fear rejection. And honestly, my philosophy for rejection doesn't exist because I don't believe in anything that takes power away from me. And so by saying someone rejects you, you give that person power over you, rather than just saying, okay, that situation wasn't meant to be for me at that time. So once you have that switch in your head where you're able to come from a position of power and authority for yourself, and you love yourself and no one can reject you because you don't reject who you are, that's when you don't fear anything, and that's when you can communicate authentically to whatever crowd or whatever space you're in, or to whoever person you're in. And you'll have a lot more fun with that. You'll have a lot more conversation with that. You'll be a lot more free flowing with that. You'll be in a flow state a lot more. You'll be able to fully engage with the person and have a deep conversation with people because you had that deep conversation with yourself. So that is my TED Talk for today. And just seize the day. Incorporate these 4 communication principles: speaking, listening, reading, writing. Try something new for, it may be uncomfortable, but we all have to be in that cocoon phase at some point to reach the other side, which is the butterfly. So you never know how beautiful it could be. And it does not take much, okay? Like, it takes this much, a mustard seed. It takes a grain of salt. It takes so little effort because the bar is stupid low today. Nobody's practicing this. Nobody cares about communication. Even though technically we do, because we love artists, we love rappers who are able to communicate beautifully. But in terms of day-to-day conversations, no one really cares about communication like that. Which is why if you work on these things, you will stand out tremendously. And you'll see a much more different aspect of your relationships growing, because you're able to foster those relationships, because you're able to communicate better. You're able to, connect with people on a much deeper level than you were before. So that's all I'm gonna say. As I already said, man, seize the day. Work on these principles. Change your life, man. Let me know how it goes. Like, comment, subscribe for more. And I'm out, bro.